Hello everyone, this is Super Spiky Shell. So not too long ago, Mario Tennis Fever came out and has been surprisingly more engaging and full of substance than most Mario sports titles nowadays. That's not to say all of it is gold, there are definitely some duds about this game. On one hand, it comes up with a bunch of new nifty concepts and makes the gameplay more engaging. On the other hand, some of the modes are undercooked and really could have used more work. And for every step it takes forward, it also takes one back. I remember how hyped I was for this in the 40th anniversary direct. And since I wasn't that into sports titles, I thought this would be one of the new best ones by seeing a bunch of new content to spice it up. But then I actually played it and it was certainly good, but nowhere near peak. It's better than Mario Tennis Aces, as that game had even less content and replay value, although not everything about this game was an improvement. And today, I'm going to do an official game review on Mario Tennis Fever based off of what I think of this game. And this is my second game review so far. My first one was in December on Super Mario 64, and that one was more controversial than I thought it was. This one is going to be less controversial than my other review, and I also have plenty more game reviews as well, not just some new games, but plenty of older ones if I have interesting enough takes on them. But before I begin this review, be sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video. It helps support my channel and incentivizes me to keep making content. Without further ado, let's get started. First order of business, the core gameplay. Not bad in any way, and can be kind of fun, but also could have used a little more work. I've said that for every step forward, it takes one back, and this really applies to this particular field. I mean, compared to Mario Tennis Aces, the last Mario Tennis game, it had far more technical gameplay that took a while to master, but was still satisfying to pull off. This game, on the other hand, extracted all that and just used arcade-style gameplay where the controls are more basic and mundane, kind of like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe compared to other games in that series, where the controls are a lot easier and take less to master. On the flip side, they made up for it by introducing far more chaotic gameplay mechanics, making matches far crazier and more hectic. I mean, just look at the Fever rackets. There's the flame racket that shoots fireballs across the court, the ice racket that turns a spot into slippery ice, the mini mushroom racket that shoots mini mushrooms that can shrink opponents, the pokey racket that spawns a pokey moving back and forth, and the list goes on. And honestly, this may be why the controls are a lot easier considering the chaos they put into this. Also, I didn't mention this, but to use a Fever shot, you have to build up your gauge, which calls for more strategic uses of it. Other than that, it's your typical tennis game. Toss the ball back and forth and score 15 to 30 to 40 points in a match. Then the first to do it a few times wins and you switch sides every time. It's definitely more replayable than other Mario Tennis games due to the chaos and variety of Fever shots. And I like playing different matches with different rackets to see what it's like. But at the same time, the controls are dumbed down, making this less satisfying to master. But that's just the core gameplay. There wasn't much to talk about here besides the main focus of this game, so now we can move on to the next segment. The most important part of any Mario spin-off being the content. No matter how fun the game can be, the amount of content is what decides replay value. Not just the amount of tennis courts, but different modes. And more importantly, how good the modes are. First of all, I won't talk about adventure mode yet. I want to save that particular mode for its own segment because there's more to talk about for that than the other modes in this game, and I don't want to overbloat this segment. But all the other modes will be discussed in this chapter of the video. For starters, free play. This is regular tennis but with Fever rackets now, and there are a total of 30 Fever rackets, and I did say already about playing different matches with different ones, but being able to select a bunch of different rackets will make it more replayable. And that adds to the total of 14 courts, as opposed to 12 in Aces. That being said, the courts aren't that exciting. There are 5 unique ones, 3 different types of stadiums, and 6 regular courts with different types of ground. So the rackets will be where this mode is at. And unfortunately, you can select a random stage, but not randomly choose a Fever racket. So that could affect my replay value, although at least the gameplay is fun. but also you can do quick matches or have customization settings like in Mario Kart's Versus Race. The latter will make us come back to this game more often. As for the other modes, Mix It Up is cool. It's tennis, but instead of regular matches, you get a bunch of mini games. Some of them are pretty fun to play and make use of versatile gimmicks. However, there's less variety in that mode, so it's less replayable than free play. And not all types are good. Swing mode is the same as regular mode, but with motion controls. It's cool, but did it have to be its own sort of thing? I feel like it should have been an option in free play instead, rather than a whole new thing using up a spot. Tournaments are basic, they're regular matches, except you have to work your way to the top. Yeah, these extra modes are kind of bare bones. There's also online play, which is the aforementioned modes, but online against real people. And then ranked match, where players compete for something. And that would be fun, but let's hope the lobbies fill up. And considering Mario Sports' reputations, it's possible they won't after a certain point, considering how empty they are in older games like Aces. Honestly, I think Mario Kart Worlds Online will be consistently more active years later from now. Trial Towers might be the most replayable one and less bare bones than the other modes so far. It's a multi-stage mode of 100 trials through a variety of different modes, and while some of them are basic, it's satisfying to complete them and they really put your skills to the test, more so than the other mode I haven't gotten to yet. And just like in Mario Kart games, there is a star rank system for these trials, so trying to get 3 stars is another incentive to keep coming back. And here's the catch, you cannot lose 3 or more times, or you have to start over from the beginning. And if you do, you'll get a bunch of different challenges instead. What makes it so good is the trials are randomly generated, and you're doing more than just playing basic matches until you get bored. Plus the different types of trials, growth, resolve, and trickery, make for a different experience every time. I mean, Mario Tennis Aces had nothing like this. So my most played mode was free play, where I choose a court and character, then play whatever matches I like or online tournaments until the server's emptied out. And when I do, I would play for a certain amount of time, then move on to a game that has more substance. And that is why Trial Towers is a lifesaver. Thanks to that mode, I can keep coming back to this game more often. Unfortunately, that's not all we have for content. There's this one more thing, and that's adventure mode. And how did they f this up so badly? Unlike the other ones, this is the single player campaign that you usually do once and then don't return for a while because there won't be need for it. And they could have made this an excellent experience, but they really dropped the ball on it. First of all, the premise is kind of interesting. Daisy is very sick and needed a special item to be cured. So Mario, Luigi, and Peach go searching for it with the help of Wario and Waluigi. But then they all get turned into babies. So now they have to relearn tennis, which would make excellent use of the tutorial section. The problem? Well, half the story is just non-stop tutorials. While some of them seem interesting, most of them are unsatisfying. But the fact that there's an hour or two's worth of tutorials is the problem. Like, they just stretch them out for as long as possible, and try to make them interesting by having the tutorials be slightly different after another. But at this point, it's just pointless padding, especially the knowledge quizzes, all of which are a snooze fest. I don't care if it's supposed to be this significant because the fact that they're babies and need time to relearn everything, it just feels like an overbloated introduction and comes off as obnoxious. And the second half is when you finally embark on your journey, after this excessive tutorial segment. And it's very short. After this long, grueling tutorial, we get what could have been an excellent adventure campaign, but just ends in no time. We get some nifty missions, but why not stretch those out instead of the tutorials? And the bosses are also really good and developed, especially the Histocrat one from 3D World. One of my favorite games. Spoiler alert, I have a video for that in progress. But why didn't they put more effort into the second half? As it stands, the adventure mode is the only thing not worth it in this game, because the first half drags until we finally get to the good stuff, and then they just end it so quickly. It takes less than 4 hours to beat, with the first half being a bunch of filler and the second half the good parts. Could have made this worthwhile, but ended up being wasted instead. I can't say it's awful because there's some good value in it, but I'm not wasting time going through this shit again. And now for the remainder of this review, I am gonna touch upon some things that I haven't really gotten into yet. First off, the character roster. They not only have more characters than Aces, but the choices are very good. They kept Chain Chomp, Pauline, and Boom Boom from Aces, but they also added Wiggler as well. And unexpectedly, they brought back Baby Wario and added Baby Waluigi. And just like all previous games, they have different abilities, whether it's tricky, defensive, powerful, etc. Also, some characters have color variations. And there are also unlockables. You can unlock additional modes or difficulties, new courts, characters, and fever rackets by a variety of different objectives. Some require you to win matches, play a certain number of them, play different modes, or other things. Not the craziest unlockable system, but a step up from Aces since that game had none. Plus, a reasonable amount of things are available from the start, so there's plenty more to get by playing through it and an incentive to do it. I'm not as passionate on unlockables as a certain YouTuber in green, but I personally think having them is good for single player because it not only gives you plenty to do, but feels rewarding to earn things as long as the unlockables are developed. And that's everything I could think of for this game review. So now for the last segment of this video. And now to conclude this review, Mario Tennis Fever is a good sports game and a stepping stone for getting the series back on track after its downward spiral in later years. It has more content and more addictive gameplay, but it also has some areas that needed more time to polish. And some of the modes have been worth my time more than others. I will definitely come back to this game for a bit, and despite some lack of effort put here and there, I have more fun with this game than I don't. And I definitely enjoy it more than Aces due to its richer gameplay variety, even if I'm less big on sports titles than Mario Kart, Mario Party, 3D or 2D platformers, adventure games, and RPG ones. Overall, I will give it a 7.5 out of 10. Is it the new best sports game? No, but it's pretty good, so I'll leave it at that. Now, this is a short time after I got to play it, so my opinion may or may not change on this as my recency bias wears off, but otherwise, this game is generally good for now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm curious about what you guys think of this new game. Do you consider it to be another forgettable sports game, or the first of many fully polished ones in a long time? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.